Hello, welcome to Creative You Yarn Shop. I'm Catherine Kirby. I'm out of Pennsylvania, South Central. I had to make sure that was on because I've already done these big lengthy podcasts and then I find out it wasn't on. I don't think I have a lot of battery today, but I really wanted to come on and share some tips about creativity in crochet. So, the last podcast, we talked about kangaroo words. So here's a word, artistry. Can you find the joeys? I see art. I see artsy. And it's not a synonym, but I find the word try. And when you want to be creative, you want to design, you have to keep trying. And it's exercises of the mind that help you to do that. Now I'm going to show you a picture. Okay. Look at this picture and what do you see? Of course, you see squares. But now I'm going to say find the circles. Look at the picture and think circles. If you don't see circles right away, just keep thinking circles. Does anybody see the circles? Okay, there's a circle. There's where my finger is. There's a circle. Can you see them? There's one, 4 across. If you don't see them, that's okay. Don't get frustrated because you will, in time, see something different from what you're used to seeing. It takes practice. So, if somebody said to you, so what do you do in your, spare time? You say, I crochet. Oh, yeah, my grandmother used to. What if you said, I'm a crochet designer? That's now a noun. I'm a crochet artist. I'm a crochet designer. I think you would get a different response and a different respect. So what is an artist? By definition, an artist is a person whose profession requires a knowledge of design, one who exhibits exceptional skill, a person who produces work that's aesthetic, pleasing to the eye. There's also a bad definition. Oh, Ellie's starting to complain because I'm here late. She's my little dog. Like a card artist, almost like a card shark, somebody that uses it for bad. Now, what about a designer? The definition of a designer is someone who creates design, devises design. So that means planning. Especially one who creates, forms, structures, patterns. An intriguer. So you're doing a pattern and you get intrigued. What if I did this? A plotter. So you start plotting. Maybe if I modified and did this and this. Designed or created by, carrying a designer label. And then also there's that bad definition. Someone who creates by scheming. An evil design. Back to the label. A few years ago, I was at a thrift shop and I saw a sweater and it looked special. I was struck by the design and the patterns. I thought this wasn't a sweater that somebody picked up at a store. It had a designer label in it. Okay, I paid my $4, took it home. Just a week later, I'm paging through an old Vogue magazine and I find that sweater, the sweater in my hand, same yarn, the designer label. And I'm saying to my husband, this is a sweater they used in the photo shoot. Well, he didn't really get it. But if you design, you can have a designer label. So I thought today I would just focus on one pattern and things that you could do. So, our creative minds born? In other words, are you born with it? And if you're not, you don't have it. So the answer to that is
no, 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 no.
The answer is no. You become creative by exercising your mind. If you go to Google and type in exercises for, you get all kinds of body muscles. This is for the mind. So the one exercise I want you to do this week is to take words. Oh, it fell apart. To take words and respell them in alphabetical order. Do it every day. Pick 5 or 10 words. So you see what that one is? Crochet. Look at hook. I wonder if that's where haiku got its, and what is that? Pattern. You can do it at a family get-together and have fun with everybody's names. Let me tell you, someone lent us this radio frequency wave detector, and I think I told you, my husband and I are like in a microwave at home using these devices. Extreme radiation when we used our phone, our iPad, or our television. And I said to my husband, let's get back to some good old-fashioned word games and things that don't take devices. Okay, so here is you doing your pattern. Now, you're in a box. You have to follow the pattern. You might, there's your pattern. You might have some ideas, but you can't really use them because you have to follow the pattern. You know, little children are so creative. Have you ever seen all the amazing drawings that little children do? And then a few years later, they're doing little sticks and say they can't draw. Why does that happen? Why? Well, you know what happened when you started school? Coloring in the lines, dot to dot. At one point, paint by numbers, and it's all stolen away. But one of the biggest things is this. When you're a kid, you can explore the whole world. It doesn't matter about a right answer. Remember when we were first married and I'd ask my husband something and he'd say, well, what do you want me to say? And I'd be like, well, just say what you think. But what do you want me to say? Now I say that to him because I know he's looking for one thing and he's not going to be happy. So, according to a Forbes article by Josh Linkner, How Kids Lose Their Creativity as They Age. Why do they lose it? Because they can explore, come up with all kinds of unique things. They can draw an elephant swimming on the bottom of the ocean. They can put tigers in the sky. They can do anything, and we love it. But when they go to school and the teacher asks something, there's only one right answer. I know when we go to Wednesday night Bible study and my pastor puts a question out, nobody wants to answer it. Same thing. You're afraid you'll be wrong. There's only one right answer. So we have an outdated bureaucratic school system that teaches to the test. Doesn't inspire being creative or creative thinking. Do you know that when school became mandatory back in the 1800s, they did it with armed soldiers? And once school became mandatory, the applications for patents nosedived. Creativity was squashed. All children are being left behind by our current system. What do we need to do and what can we change as adults? Teach creative problem solving. You know what? Your success in your workplace depends on it. In the workplace, they want creative solutions. Think of something new. What could make us more efficient, you know? And teach that mistakes aren't bad. They're opportunities. What about when you make a mistake in your crocheting and all of a sudden, oh, I could do this or that, or I could change the color. All these possibilities. They're portals for discovery. Teach kids to challenge assumptions instead of just accepting the current system. Teach creative problem solving, not rote memorization. Don't conform. You need fresh perspectives. How many companies or groups say, we need new blood, we need new people? You know why? There's a word for it, But the longer you're in a place or a workplace or even your own house, you fail to see things that are outdated and wrong. Maybe you have a messy corner, but you don't notice it. If someone moved in and you were in the hospital, they'd straighten up that corner. You stop seeing things that should be changed. And we need to foster imagination and curiosity. So I'm not saying that crochet patterns are bad. I'm not saying that at all. I once read about a woman that signed up for a class at the Smithsonian on knitting. She got in the class and it was on abstract knitting and she was miserable. She wanted to just walk out. But she came to love it. And when I looked up her name, she had created all these amazing things. You had to start without a pattern and just go to it. So let's talk about some creative thinking. This is Tamara Kelly's Artfully Simple. And in a way, this is creative because she says you can't mess up. Just if you skip things, it doesn't matter. Keep going. This was with Kudo. It's $12.99. It's a cotton rayon silk. If you want to get this from the yarn shop, it's $12.99. Just call me. It's getting to the point where communication is almost dead. Nobody wants to call the shop and talk to me. They all want to just do things through a automated system. So here you are, you're doing a pattern. You might have some ideas, but you can't put them into practice. After a while, you begin to see that that pattern is like a prison of creative ideas. There you are, you're starting to stretch out and see the world beyond and what you could do. Here you are, you got ideas, you're thinking outside of the box. Good. So let's talk about a pattern. This is a book I showed the other day by Christy Simpson. Here is the baby hat done with front post. Okay. So I'm going to show you a free pattern one day at a time. Danetta Johnson, aka Smiley Nettie, the ribbed preemie hat. I have made a bunch of these. The way she does her increases is really neat. This is how it starts. And she says it's a 10-minute hat. I don't like to get into that because then it gets to be a competition and people want to know, did you get it done in 10 minutes? No, just enjoy the creative process. Remember these little things, that yarn dots that I challenged my husband how to insert them into a crocheted finished project and he couldn't figure it out? Well, I found out I can put my yarn tails on those. So I found a creative solution for them. But this is going to be the ribbed preemie hat. If you've never done post, very, very easy, and I will help you along. So here's my hat. It's nice and thick. And I don't care that this can't be machine washed because I want it to be a nice winter hat. I can put a felt insert in it to make it softer. So what made her design special? Because again, you can find free patterns for post hats. What made her pattern different was her flower, which is also done using the post. I think I'm going to put a little pink in that, but her flower and I think her braids made her pattern, and maybe the edging that she did, but she took a standard pattern and made it her own. I remember last year I was watching America's Got Talent, and there was a singer who was just incredible, and she was flawless in her execution of songs. She liked to do Disney songs. And Simon Cowell began to tell her, you know, there comes a point when you have to make a song your own. I think she was scared. And toward the end, he said, you're not going to get any points with these flawless songs. You've got to make it your own. And she didn't win. He was right. So here's our pattern. Okay. So I start to think that maybe I could felt this. I had done a little crochet just like you would start to do a hat with this yarn and felted it and just got this nice little bowl that I keep at the shop to put containers on. So that would be one thing. I could do it with a different yarn and do a summer hat. So I got out this yarn, which is a cotton yarn called Berry, B-A-R-I, and I started to do a bigger hat. But when I started to look at it, remember the Little Mermaid, and she sees all these human things. What's a fork? What could all these things be? You gotta say, okay, if I didn't know what this was, what could it be? Well, I like the design. So what if I made ornaments? Maybe a smaller yarn, a doorknob cover. I don't know. Think about it. What could it be? A bra, one side, of course. A swimming top. When you look, the colors kind of got off there, but when I was doing this, I was thinking, when I was only about that far up, I was thinking of an eye, and they have little hats, like big owl hats, big owl eyes, and I was thinking, okay, what if I did an eye? This would be pretty, especially if I had a tan owl or a creamy colored owl. So here's my problem though. When I start crocheting, I have all this gold and then it changes midway. Now I like that little spot of white, almost like the little sparkle in an eye, but I want my navy blue to be the next color. So what can I do? I could cut it, right? I think what I have right now is a tangle. I could cut it. I could cut my yarn. Then I have an end to work in. I could, whoa, sorry about that. What I could do is this. I could separate that gold out, let it hang there, and I know you're looking from the back, but I could let it hang there, pinch it off, and do my next color. Now that you're saying, okay, well, what are you going to do with that? Well, I could use it to attach my eye and then weave it in the back. So now I'm going to do my blue. And if any of you haven't done the post stitch, what you do is you yarn over and you do your double crochet around the previous double crochet. I'll do a tutorial at some point, but if I do that and I do my double crochets, you go around the stitch, right to left through the stitch, but I'll just show you here what I'm going to get. And I didn't hurt anything by pinching the gold off to the back, and I can use it to attach my eye, right? So now, as you can see, I'm going to get the navy blue next. So just a suggestion. So what could I use it for? I could think about, what if you change the shape of it? So here it is, it's a circle. What if I started to crochet up and stop doing the circle? What else could it be? That's how you think. What about a basket? When I was doing this, I almost didn't want to finish the hat because I wanted to do a little holder for the desk. And I also know I could felt it, and I like the way the colors work. If I took these up over, I could do a basket, okay? So that is what you're trying to think. I could do a summer hat, which is where I'm going here. Now, when I get to the bottom of the hat, I have to start to think, do I want to do a ruffle? Do I want it to flare out? What do I want to do? Because of the cotton blend, I'm getting a much looser fabric, which is nice. This is very dense. And when I started one in Lamb's Pride Bulky, this is very, very dense. But again, what if I change the shape? So I don't go the whole way around. I have this. What about a seashell? Because see, I have this dimensional. It doesn't flatten out because I'm doing increases. What if I took tans and browns and created a seashell? I think it would work. Change the shape. What about if you said, what does the inside look like? And when you do posts and increases, you definitely get an inside. What would happen if I use that side? What could I do with it? Or what about a rug? Could I make this into a rug? One thing, and this is like way outside the box, when I was doing this, I started to think about a turkey. I think it's because of the way all the stitches are coming out, but I sort of came up with this. Let's see here. If you start with your basic shape, this could become any kind of bird. It could even become any kind of creature if you change the beak. What is going to make your turkey is when you start coming out, right? Now, if you want the standard pattern that everybody makes, then you make it the way everybody else does. If you want to be different, then you have to do something unexpected. If you want to make it yours, do it unexpected. So, here we go. We have our turkey. And let's just say we brought it down like that a little bit. Maybe we made him some goofy feet. And instead of just remember when you were a kid and you used to change, trace your palm? What if you started to put a second color through that, like a ruffle? And then what if, instead of just putting that face there, what if you put him up at an angle and gave him a quirky face, maybe gave him a personality? Know what I'm saying? I'm trying to draw backwards, but you get what I mean? You would have a much more interesting creature when you think outside of the box. And if you've just always followed what you're told to do and the way you're told to do it, you will always get the same result. But haven't you ever started to do something like this hat and thought, you know what, maybe I should stop doing this and make a container or a basket, or you know what, a pint-sized ice cream holder. I used to think they were silly until your hands get frozen, or you could make them smaller and for your drink or your soda or your thermos. Or if you did it with a certain yarn and put more of these, a plant hanger. You see what I'm saying? You see the possibilities, and you just have to train your mind to do it. What if, and this is also from One Day at a Time, what if you took your hat and made a brim? Think, what can I do to make this mine? And when I was thinking about my turkey, thinking of yarn like this, then what if I did his feathers with something like this? And doesn't that kind of look like feathers? And anyways, I was so inspired today, and I wanted to just come on quick and inspire you. And even a flower. When Christy did her flower, I was surprised that she continued with the post stitches. But you can play around and do a flower. And you say, no, I can't. Yes, you can. You just have to train your mind to see things differently. So if you want to do an exercise this week to think outside the box, start with your words. Start and take some words every day and rearrange them in alphabetical order. What that does is get you looking at things differently, and it will be fun. If you don't want to do it, that's okay. There are other things and more later, but for now, I encourage you to look at things different. If you see something in a crochet book and you say, nah, I wouldn't want to make that, look at the pattern. You can't believe how many fancy things I've seen and thought somebody created them out of their mind, and then later saw those in pattern stitch dictionaries. And I'm like, oh, they just took that, made the baby blanket, and did this, So I'll be back later, and shine, baby, shine in everything you do. Show your joy. Don't get down. Don't get down by stuff. It's just situations. And even trials and tribulations, they don't last. You'll come out with a testimony. See you later. Keep that hook moving. Bye-bye.